Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E-Streaming. It's Sunday night, and that can mean only one thing. It is the My Private Sellers Australasian Supercar eSeries, and we are here tonight at a rather different track. We are at the Iracing SuperSpeedway in fictional Minnesota, I think it is, from memory. It's slightly different place, slightly different track indeed. In Concord, there we go. We've got it up there already. Track length, just about 3 miles, 4.75 kilometers. Really, really unique track. If you've never seen this one, we're in for a treat with these V8 supercars pouncing around. I am Mr. Carl Wilkinson with Ian. Joining me up here in the booth on the cams and on comms is Mr. Matty Hunter. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, going good, Carl. Yep. Interested to see how this track goes. There's some interesting characteristics that we've seen on the track. We're going to see how they affect the drivers.
Yeah, it's a very, very strange little one, this one, and we'll talk you through a couple of the interesting little bits as we go through. Track temperature up to 43 degrees Celsius, so it is very, very warm at the moment, and air temperature 26 degrees. That will be useful. They'll hope that will stay relatively cool because there's going to be a lot of drafting here, which means you have to be careful of cars overheating. We're just getting into qualifying now, and a few cars are starting to pace around. Nobody's yet set their first lap as they're coming up to it, but super speedway rules means usually the second lap is your fastest lap, but this place is so big and long, you're probably going to get up to speed in that first lap.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a very long lap, so it won't take much to get up to speed, I think, by the end of the straight.
As we see Justin Witcher coming out now in the Witcher Electrics sponsored Pinnacle entry. Of course, Witcher Electrics, one of our title sponsors, and Pinnacle Cars, always useful for pointing out the sponsors because they've got a good array of it, and he'll be hoping for a good night tonight. I don't see Raymond Yeager out there tonight, so he's not coming out for a drive. That's going to be a drop round, well, it's a sort of a boogie round in the championship for him because he's battling at the moment with Gary Wellman and Troy Code Donnelly, actually. Those two getting the some good results last time out in the Sim Boys, and Sim Boys are going to be looking to have a really good run this season. So here we go with Justin Mitchell coming up for his first lap here, just trying to get as much speed out the car as possible. As you come into this first corner, there's a big dip that you don't really see until you're on board the car when you go into this big long radius corner here. Through you go, watch out because you don't want to drop it onto the yellow. It is flat down there and it will unsettle the car and make for a horrible run. On the exit, goes up, so there's almost a little upwards jump on the exit of the corner. All the way along the straights here, it is banked as well, so you can see just how banked this place is. Down the long back straight we go, into turns 3 and 4 again. Big dip down. It's going to be interesting to see how the cars cope with that running in a group and side by side as well, because very easy to bottom out to get the car loose when it goes through those dips. On to the front straight we go, keeping as low as he can, trying to cut as much of the circuit out as possible. You want to try and keep as low to that line as possible so you're not driving around too much of the track, and that pops Justin up into P10 at the moment. He's going to hope that this second lap's going to be slightly faster, but I don't think he's got time to complete it. That's the other thing about this place, is it is a long old lap, 58 seconds to get around here on a super speedway. That's a fair distance you're covering, isn't it, Matt?
It sure is. It's definitely the longest super speedway in the game by I want to say 10 seconds. I think. Yeah, I mean I think Talladega and Daytona are more than 48 seconds or lower, 48 to 45 seconds. But yeah, you could see he was really trying to keep it low, not cover any more distance than he actually had to, and done a pretty good job. Sitting in 9th, I think, at the moment. But yeah, that bump is really deceptive. You don't really see it from the outside, but when you're in the cockpit, you really notice it dropping down. So
will he make it for that lap? No, he just misses out by milliseconds there. Just mistimed it. So let's go through tonight's starting grid, and it's a good job for the Sim Boys. It's Todd Maxfield taking out pole position next to Gary Wellman on row number 1. Greg Spencer, Jai Schultz make up row number 2. It's Kate Donnelly and Derek Jacobs, our American contingent, in row 3. Row number 4 sees Craig Roffey next to Troy Davidson. It's Justin Witcher and Philip Howe on row number 5. On the 6th row, we've got Dwayne Priest with Nicholas Walsh. Kim Rothie and Nigel Patton make up row number 7. Row number 8 sees Peter Morris with Philip Marsh. On the 9th row, we've got Aaron Dillon and Luke Crum. Christopher Tomlin and Kobe Jordan make up our 10th row. On the 11th row onwards, it's Ruben Phelps, Matt Patton, Darren McKenzie, Parry Stackers, Aidan Schultz, Maddie Ray, Andy Barber, Adam Malone, Andrew Hoffman, Peter Gretton, Mick Rush, Shane Newans, and Joseph Grenshaw. 33 cars out there tonight, so a fairly decent field here. That's going to be some big old pack racing. Should be a fantastic spectacle as well for the My Private Sellers Australasian Supercar eSeries. There we go. Finally got the words out of my mouth.
Good job there. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they handle those bumps and whether that unsettles the cars in a pack or not. Yeah, we're still just waiting for all the cars to grid up. It's a nice looking Caterpillar paint job there.
Yes, I did have a...
Peter Gretton, I think.
Peter Gretton, that's it. I noticed that one earlier on. Very pretty looking colour scheme, and one of my favourites in the NASCAR series, the Caterpillar paint jobs. But some really pretty looking cars, as always, out there tonight, which is always a nice thing to see. We love seeing those fantastic paint jobs that people come up with and get on their cars, and beautiful sponsors on those cars as well. Of course, we are very thankful for those, bringing out to the teams and the drivers, because it just helps everybody get along a little bit easier. So big thank you to anyone sponsoring any of the teams out there tonight, because it's always nice to see that support coming in. But the pace car is pulling away here for this long formation lap. Be a bit of time until we get to the start finish line, until we see the green flag, and then it's going to be 67 laps until we see the checkered flag come out tonight and we get our victory. Of course, there is the chance of a green-white checker coming into play, which will extend the race a little bit, just in case we get that dreaded caution in the late stages of the race. We're kind of expecting around about 36 laps on fuel tanks tonight, so should be an interesting run to see who can stretch it out the longest, and see if anybody can possibly stretch it to sort of get into a position where they can make it home with a single stop if we do run green. But if we see a caution, I'm sure we're going to see people popping into pit lane just to top up, just to try and give themselves a little bit of an advantage in the latter stages.
It will be. It'll be interesting to see who can save that fuel, because there's a massive difference in speed when you're out front and with the cars behind you. There's no real push, and the cars behind you can just pull out and have 20 km/h faster speed and just fly past you like you're standing still.
Yeah, some really big old drafts you get in this car. Okay, pace car is about to pull into pit lane here. We're about to get ready for Season 2 of the 2023 Championship. It is round 2 here at Iracing SuperSpeedway for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by My Private Sellers. Let's shut up and enjoy these cars roaring away. As we come up to the line for the first lap, it's Gary Wellman who's up in the lead. Jai Schultz doing a mega push job to try and get himself up to the front. Gary jumped down to cover off that low line. The Sim boys are starting to try and cover up the lines as we go 3 wide, with Christopher Tomlin up high there, 4 wide for a few moments, with Justin Witcher up there as well. Luckily, this track has plenty of real estate to make that kind of thing work. Heavy racing going on in these early stages. It's Jai Schultz up into the lead at the moment. Christopher Tomlin coming up quick on the high side. Todd Maxfield getting a run now on the low side. The cars are spreading out a little bit. Everybody's trying to take advantage of the draft from behind. But Christopher Tomlin at the moment making the most as he's up 18 positions, having a monster run in the 2-1-2, getting himself up into the lead of this race. Looks like he might be able to snatch a bonus point for a lap led here as Todd Maxfield's trying to get past. Up to the line they go, and I think it was Christopher Tomlin that just led across the line by 0.002. So, very close racing here at the moment. Jai Schultz now dropping down to the low line, trying to get to the lead as well. People wanting to bank those bonus points earlier, I think.
I think so. I was going to say earlier on that I expect to see 4 wide pretty consistently. The track is very, very nice for a 4 wide and possibly even 5 wide. And if you get a run and you've got 3, it's 3 wide in front of you and you've got a run, it depends on whether you want to use it or not, whether you're going to go 4 wide.
Yeah, we can see some absolute mega stuff as Maxfield gets very close to Tomlin there through the corner. A little bit of door rubbing there. Also got the wing mirrors on these cars, and that was close enough to snap one of those off in an instant. Still racing hard. It's Jai Schultz now going to get himself up into a leading position as Matt Patton gets one of those monster runs up to about 310 kilometers per hour up on the high side. Tries to drop it down, doesn't have enough time because he's got Todd Maxfield right underneath him with Jai Schultz 4 wide here up the front of the field. It's Craig Roffey up on the high side at the moment. This is great stuff.
I'm sure there's plenty of action going on down the back, but there's plenty of action happening out the front, so we'll stick to the action up the front for now.
No, this is the moment where we need to have 6 different cameras, 6 different streams just to show all the action, because it is furious as little bit of the touch of the yellow line there for Jai Schultz. Just unsettled the car a little bit. Todd Maxfield doing a big chop down the front, getting himself up into the lead. It's very spread out, just sideways though, not in length. Less than 3 seconds covering the top 32 cars at the moment. Everybody is pretty much nose to tail. I lied, 2.8 seconds covering the full 32 car field there.
It's massive, isn't it? They're all so close. And you don't want to be on the back losing that draft because, I think Aaron Dillon, for example, started from pit lane and he had no chance of getting that draft, and he's, I think, decided to park it.
Yeah, you, as soon as you lose that draft, you lose a huge amount of speed and fall right off the back of that pack. And all of a sudden your race is runners. A little bit of rubbing there. Derek Jacobs just right on the back trying to bump draft. Jai Schultz just couldn't get the car connected close enough. And there was that little bit of a wobble. But they're all keeping it in the right position. They're all keeping it pointing in the right direction, which is the main thing.
Do you notice a few drivers hitting that yellow line? I don't know if you can sort of see it on the coverage and that, but in the corners with the yellow line, the flat actually starts on the seam above the yellow line. So if you go below the seam towards the yellow line like you naturally would feel like you would do, you're actually on the flat bit. So that can unsettle the car a little bit.
Yeah, Todd Maxfield running that right on the very limit, and he seems to be quite comfortable to run it right on the actual limit there, just letting the car settle just by the flat, using the tyre to keep it in the right place. But if you run any lower than that, you're going to start unsettling the car. All of a sudden you get a big lump of air underneath it. Car gets lifted, and you're going to have a bad night very, very quickly.
Yeah, you can see them both there. I think Maxfield and the 212.
Christopher Tomlin.
They both hit it at the same time, and it both fired them back up the track onto the banking. Plenty of room at the moment. They're not racing very close, but it's something just to be aware of.
Well, still a long way to go. 60 laps to go for tonight as well. So still a long way to go in this race, and you want to be making it to the end, so you got that opportunity. So obviously don't want to give up too much too early, and everybody other than unfortunately Aaron Dillon is doing a great job of doing that, as they are only covered by about 3 seconds from 1st to 32nd. You can see here down in the pack, we've got Philip Howe there just running in the middle of those groups, and he's just sort of lost a little bit of the run, and he just drops right back as he's got nobody in front of him all of a sudden. As this pack up front starts to close up once again. Running, contact between Jai Schultz and Todd Maxfield there. They do a great job of holding those cars in the straight direction. That would have been a very nasty tangle if one of those went around.
Yeah, I think the cars are pretty stable with contact. It's I think they'll be able to get away with the hits like that, as they obviously did. But yeah, I think anything sort of bigger than that, they might be a bit unsettled.
Yeah, often is the case if you get the door-to-door contact, it's not that bad. You can sort of keep it pointing in the right direction, even at speeds of 300 odd kilometers per hour. But if you get a little bit of a tap at the rear, can easily turn one of these things around. So great thing. And look, a little bit of door rubbing is absolutely part of the sport. As we see there, Christopher Tomlin giving Todd Maxfield a big push there, and just got a little bit loose from Maxfield in at the number 16, but keeps it running in the right spot as he just gives that yellow line a little kiss again, just unsettles the car. But he's doing a great job of keeping the speed in that thing tonight. Todd Maxfield, starting from pole position, has got some serious pace here on the Iracing SuperSpeedway. And what do we say about Sim Boys? They're very good on super speedways. Jai Schultz now getting a monster run up to 305 kilometers per hour up in the middle. Tries to push himself forwards. The inside lane production cars are all starting to move themselves forwards as well. This is going to be where you want to try and shuffle teammates into a position where you can start working together a little bit. It's not as crucial this early on, but if you can get your ducks in a row and sort of get into a position where you could sort of know where each other are, that can make your life a little bit easier in the long run.
It can be, yeah, and it should be a case of strength for none of those, but it doesn't really matter too much with the V8s in terms of pack racing and drafting. You know, so if you're racing in NASCAR style cars, you definitely want to have your pack of cars, as Maxfield sort of went really low there. You want to have your teammates lined up, you know, because the more cars, the better draft you get. But with these cars here, it's not so much. It's not as big of a factor to have 4 cars lined up as what it was in the NASCAR cars.
Peter Morris, the next car to get a big run up there. He launches himself up into the lead for a couple of moments in the 000 car. Just stops a run there from Dwayne Priest behind him. Nice to see Peter Morris up there in a nice position. Very nice looking car, that one as well, with the green and black. But had just a huge run up there. Jai Schultz still in the middle, Todd Maxfield down on the low line. These two seem pretty confident up the front as it stands, and everybody else is trying to get up there just to, try and secure themselves a little bonus point, just keep themselves right up the front of the field, just in case that accident does happen. It's always good to be towards the front to avoid an accident like that, or right at the back, but when there's only a couple of seconds covering it, it's not as easy to dodge those accidents.
I think if there's an accident up the front, it'll be huge. All the cars will have nowhere to go. They'll all pile into it and the banking as well. It'll make it look pretty spectacular if there is one.
Yes, I think it would be a night ender for a fair few drivers out there, unfortunately. Fingers crossed, though. We do not see that happening, and we get to see some good, clean racing, which we've been seeing so far. Some really fun racing out there. Lots of swapping of paint, lots of little bashes on at the doors, and a couple of wing mirrors that have been sent to the Nether Realm. But everybody is racing great at the moment. Really close stuff, side by side, giving us a great run and great entertainment, as well as Justin Witcher now works his way up into the lead and gets himself a crucial bonus point. I think he just missed out by 9 thousandths of a second there. Just very sorry, 9 hundredths of a second. A very close stuff up the front here. It's just every time I look, there's a different person having a monster run up there.
Tell you one thing I do notice here, there's definitely 2 schools of thought going on in here. There is this top, I want to say maybe 15 cars or so. I'm just trying to work out, yeah, probably about top 15, top 16 cars that they're going to race every lap, every corner, every lap. They're up there racing now. But then you drop back a bit, and you see these guys here. They're all two lanes, one high, one low, kind of doing the riding thing, and certainly Matthew Raymond at the back there, sort of riding there, and they'll probably look to get to maybe halfway before they sort of start to want to get in, start mixing it up with the guys up the front. But they're sort of hedging their bets. They're sort of staying back, thinking that something's going to happen up the front because those cars up front are constantly battling each other, and they want to hope that they're further enough back that they can avoid it if something does happen.
Yeah, they want to have a little bit of reaction time. Just saw Justin Witcher just jumping right up to the high line. I think you might see him just dropping back a little bit after he's got that bonus point. Just crucially snagging those every little point you can, because they can all be crucial in a championship. And getting that lap led at least early on means you don't have as much to worry about. As big blink there for somebody up in the front end of the grid. I think that might have been Jai Schultz. Just having a big old blink there, and that was a scary moment.
I think it got Justin a bit loose as well. He wobbled a bit there. So, not sure what happened there. A blink out and blink in. Though it does look
huge.
The bottom line's kind of formed up the front here and sort of settled in. But in saying that, Philip Howe's now making a big run on the outside.
Yeah, you've got Philip Howe having a big run there with Matt Patton. Cruising up quick stuff from these guys, and look, every time I look there's a different person up in the top 10 that I haven't seen all night. It is just that close at the moment. We are 14 laps in, 53 here to go for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by my private seller, of course, the title sponsor. But we've got a few other sponsors, and luckily the leading car at the moment is showing them well in United Electrical Solutions, of course. Up front with Todd Maxfield's car, displaying that one proudly and getting a little bit more airtime for one of our other lead sponsors there. And big thank you to the series sponsors.
Don't forget the one on the side as well, Hot Toddies.
Absolutely, and it's keeping the racing hot at the moment. It is very, very warm stuff, which is what we love to see. It is really, really all out at the moment, and they are pushing extremely hard. And everybody's just trying to get that little bit of extra speed where they can, but it's not easy to do. It's broken up a little bit. I can see there's about 4 seconds now as the low line's starting to form up quite strong. We've got quite a long low line now on towards the back, whereas up the front, as you said, Matt, that sort of top 15, top 20 cars are still racing very hard.
Yeah, they want to battle every lap, every corner for this whole race, going 100%. Whereas, that second half of the field, they just want to relax and chill, log some laps, and then get ready for a late push, late run.
Can't win a race in the early stages. We've got a car coming in pit lane, though, of Matt Patton. So an early stop there for Patton, and I wonder if that's a sort of issue. We've got a wreck happening, though, up the front of the field. No caution flag out. There it is. Huge wreck coming up to the line. We'll try and get the replay of that one because that was a big one. And I've got a feeling it started with, unfortunately, Jai Schultz and Philip Howe.
Let's have a look and see if we can find something.
Matt Patton may have chosen the best time to dart into pit lane then.
Yeah,
so just up in front here, you'll see Philip Howe make side-on contact with Jai Schultz. And he just makes it on the front of the car. And that spears Jai up in the worst possible spot across this front straight where it is very narrow indeed. And Jai's come down, speared into Dwayne Priest and Luke Crum. And they've gone down and collected a whole heap of other cars. Craig Roffey, I think, was heavily impacted in that one. Shane Newens as well. So a lot of cars getting caught up in that one. That was the big accident that we said could happen. And then, that was a nasty, nasty incident. And that's taken a lot of cars out. I can see a lot of engines that are smoking from that incident.
Yeah, it looks like Dwayne Priest took a big hit as well. He was part of that. See it happening here.
Yeah, my attention was being taken by Matt Patton there, and I just heard in my ears that there was a wreck happening. And yeah, that was a nasty, nasty one indeed. And it looks like Patton was pulling over to retire the car after some sort of incident. But yeah, that was a nasty, nasty wreck there. And luckily, it sort of speared down to sort of didn't take everybody else with them. But yeah, that was a big wreck that's taken about 5-6 cars completely out of this race. And you can see there just the force of it just shunted Dwayne back, and you sort of hold the brakes on these things, but it's doesn't quite stop the car going backwards like that.
No, no. It's a shame about Matt Patton because otherwise he looked like he was a psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
get him to pick the lotto numbers next week. But no, it turns out he was retiring the car because of damage. So yeah, Matt Patton just went from being the one that everyone wanted to talk to predict your lotto numbers to not.
yeah, I wonder if it was some kind of rig issue or something like that, because it didn't look to be any damage on the car. But yeah, unfortunate there. So they're all going to come into pit lane now and get some fuel, and probably won't need to worry about tyres at this early stage. Of course, they did get one set of tyres to change to, but usually super speedways not too bad on the old tyres. So we've lost a few cars from that one instantly. Dwayne Priest, Luke Crum, Aaron Dillon are out early doors. Matt Patton as well. So those cars are taken behind the wall and pretty much retired, I think. Shane Newen's got some bad damage as well. We'll just wait for the rest of the cars to come through.
There are a number of cars sitting there for a long time in the pit lane.
Yeah, I wonder if people are just. I wonder if they've taken a little bit more fuel from some of the other cars, or if they were getting a little bit of damage repaired.
Yeah, there might be a bit of gamesmanship as well, wanting to sit at the back of this pack still. So sort of just, not in a hurry to get out of pit lane.
That's it. Jai Schultz as well, one of those cars that was also, I think, had its night over and done with. So 27 cars left out on track undamaged, I think. So they will be looking to get this race running. Peter Morris got very lucky in that incident in the 000. He was the green and black car that I saw being speared down. It was not Craig Rothie. It was Peter Morris, and he looks like he's got away relatively unscathed in that one. Just a bit of front end damage, a little bit of aero damage on the car, but if he keeps it tucked in behind somebody, he should be relatively safe. So yeah, a few people getting very lucky. Some other people deciding just to pop down the lane again and just get a little bit of extra fuel. So another thing that could be very useful for the for this next stint, just getting a couple of extra milliliters of fuel in the car, just to top it up before your next run, just so you can go a little bit longer in the next stint. That's something we've seen pay off for a few drivers before.
I think on a big long lap like this, it's definitely worth it.
It's a bit spread out at the moment as people are catching up to the back of the pace car. Got them moving along. So, well, we've got the lull as well. We've got a couple of moments. Of course, we can talk about. We've not got the car here tonight, but the RKJ Web Services, of course, one of our other sponsors for the series. If you're in need for any website building or anything in those areas, that is one of the people with great expertise. There's also Johnny Rice, like Mr. Raymond Yoga. Get into contact with him, and he can help design all of those aspects. Always a useful thing indeed. Pace car now pulling in, and it makes a big clunk as it comes onto pit road. We'll talk about that if we get some green stops, but we're going back to green flag racing here. 48 laps remaining for tonight's race.
Good start there from Maxfield and Gary Wellman on the outside line as well.
All the way rather quickly here, but that leaving a bit of a gap behind you on a super speedway, that often means you're leaving space for a big run to appear. We'll see how that pans out though, but they've sort of got away nicely up there. Aidan Schultz as well, he's up 23 positions in the Golden Octopus car, a very gold car as well, very easy one to spot out there. The high line's starting to form up though and trying to charge its way forwards, but these 5 cars are making a good break at the moment and are pulling out a bit of a gap. They've got about a second gap over Craig Rothie. So if these guys can sort of stick together, they'll be in a relatively solid spot if they can keep that sort of 1 second gap for this race. As who was that just jumping out? Nicholas Walsh up there as well. So a couple of the Sim boys up there. And Kim Rothie coming into pit lane. I think he's got a he may have a black flag as well as Shane Newens, 2 cars that have got black flags, unfortunately. So they shouldn't lose a lap down pit lane, but it is a long old pit exit here and a long old pit lane going very, very slow as well. And it feels like an eternity when you're in there serving a penalty here. Up the front, though, it is Todd Maxfield back up into the lead. He's pretty much been in the lead most of the night, having a really solid run. It's nice to see Maxfield up there again in the Sim Boys. As Aidan Schultz been a little bit pushed there and just running along and gets right down on that seam again, really running the low line. As the rest of the pack starts to catch up slowly but surely here.
It seems to the energy seems to have gone out of it quite a bit, doesn't it? It's probably the calmest it's been at the front all race at the moment.
Yeah, I think maybe that big accident was the little bit of a shake-up that they needed to just remind them that there's a long way in this race still to go.
We're seeing we've got 3 of the Simboy cars now up in the top 5 group here.
Yeah, they're moving their way up. We've got Todd Maxfield, Nicholas Walsh, Gary Wellman up there, and then Kay Donnelly sort of up in P11 at the moment. So they're going to try and work their way right up there and try and have the right cars in the top group this time for the championship, the team's championship. Is Aidan Schultz and Todd Maxfield just gave that yellow line a big old whack, and that cost him a huge amount of time as Jai Schultz is just coming out onto the track as well. And they're catching up to Christopher Tomlin as well. Just had a bit of a run, then he got sort of caught out. And just as you said, things were calming down, man. It's all gone back to chaos up the front now as we're running 3-4 wide.
Yeah, now we saw a good example of we had Wellman and Welsh working together as a tandem, but Tomlin was able to get a draft from the 2 of them, pull out and just go around them on the outside like they were standing still. So, you know, this is what I was saying before about the teamwork's not so much matters so much on this because of the big draft, but Tomlin was able to do it on his own, but then he was sort of left out. He had nowhere for him to draft, so he then sort of got gobbled up again. But it's always changing as Walsh gets a big run on the outside, takes over the lead.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you'd probably... I think it's preferable to have a few teammates up there, of course, because it just makes you feel a little bit more confident. But it's really anybody's race at the moment, and you've seen some of those big monster runs. If you can get that run coming, very hard to slow it down because it is such a wide track here. It's very hard to take up all of the track real estate, and of course, weaving is not going to be a useful thing to do because that's just going to cause you to get very, very loose very, very quickly. So we should see some really good runs here towards the end, as we've got 25 cars covered by about 3.5 seconds at the moment. Peter Gretton, the final car on the tail of this train. Parry Anastakis about 26 seconds back with the final car on the lead lap at the moment, as Aidan Schultz now runs up to the front, starts getting a bit of a push from Christopher Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, I do think you do want a teammate up there because you want to do the old shake and bake. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to do the old shake and bake and engage the slingshot and get your run and time it. So it's a straight out shootout between you for the win. But yeah, we'll see how that goes later on if anyone's still linked up.
That's it. We'll see how that one goes in about 42 laps, because got 42 and a half laps remaining, and that final half of the lap's going to be crucial. As who's that getting up very close to the wall, a little bit further down in the pack? Didn't quite see who
It was Nicholas Walsh got in the wall, and I don't think Hoffman was that happy about it. Something went on there because he was giving their lights a bit of a flash.
I think Nicholas Walsh may have just lost a little bit of a speed on the exit, and he's just sort of come up a little bit, and Hoffman's just tapped the rear, and that sort of sent Walsh into the wall, but it doesn't look like it's damaged the car much, because that thing is still flying along at the moment. So that could have been a nasty incident, but luckily everybody got away with that one, as they're starting to link up there, pushing each other forwards at a great rate of knots here, up into the 300km/h ranges, as they come into turns 1 and 2 once more, and it gets very, very close very, very quickly, as we are 3, 4 wide, 5 wide almost. It is really, really close stuff up the front, and we're starting to get back into the insanity stuff, Matt.
We are. What do we want? Oh, I want to say we were almost 5 wide there. I was keeping my eye on Walsh and Hoffman there. I don't know what they were sort of doing, but they were racing each other a tad aggressive, or maybe, or yeah, but it's all cleared up now.
Yeah, there's, we know as drivers, the aggression, when something goes wrong, you sort of sit in the car and you mull it over and you start grumbling about it. You don't see it from the outside. All you see it from is the cockpit view. As
the closing rate was incredible. Yeah,
that was a scary moment. I only saw that from the corner of my eye, and just a car just flying back down the back. Big speed difference in that car. It's only it's down on speed by about almost 100km/h, about 80 90km/h when they're in the pack. That is a big speed difference.
Getting back to that bump, I think, like you get a bit of a bump when it sort of doesn't really matter. You're like, oh, you shake it off, but you get a bit of a bump in here, and it's like the worst thing you could ever do to me. The red mist comes down, and it's so, but
and the thing is, most often it's a little accident, or it's something even you've done wrong. You've scrubbed a little bit of speed, and that's caused the incident to happen. But you don't see it from the outside, of course. You only see it from your driving perspective, and you think, what have they done to me? Why are they doing that? And you're grumbling along, and then it gets worse and worse in your head.
And then you finish the race, and you're like, oh, I'll let it go, and away you go.
Yep, I know the feeling well. And you go, what an idiot I was. I'm really sorry about that. But that's all a part of motorsport sometimes, as we are really rocketing along here. These cars are just so quick on this track. It's a pretty scary place. I mean, obviously this place was built as a sort of an interesting concept ground. Of course, we don't have a real life equivalent to it, but it would be pretty scary stuff in reality.
It would be. I haven't seen this track before until today. So yeah, I ran some laps today on this just to get a bit of an idea of what it was. I was really interested and surprised that the we should actually do it on board just so we show what we mean. But the dips going into the corners. Go on the roll bar. Sort of dip right here, eh? Yep.
Yeah. This is where if you're on a motion rig, you just feel your lunch coming up into your esophagus, and as you go up over the next dip, and that will push everything back down into the right place. But it is a really, really heavy dip and a bump as you go through those lines, and none of the cars are bottoming out here today, which is good. But certain cars can get a little bit close. And it can get a little bit sketchy when you go into those corners, as you just see that as they go through there. And you can also see just that seam we were talking about and how it goes to the flat there on the left-hand side of the car on that corner. Great on the nose cam to get an idea of just how steep the banking is and just how quickly it goes to flat. You can see here from the rear chase as well, just on the gearbox, just how close Gary Wellman is now as well. But yeah, it is really, really insane stuff as through the dip again. And we're going to run up on the high side, but he's sort of cruising along relatively well at the moment. You can see the suspension travel as well. Like it is just, it's quite a severe little bump and a dip in through those.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more people have issues. I think if you had the steering angle wrong around a pack Vero maybe as well, when you hit this bump coming in now right there, that it would upset the car a bit more. But no, the cars seem to be pretty stable regardless of the bump.
That's it. I'm pretty sure I'm hearing some gear changing as well. As they're dropping down into fifth gear, I think, through the corner and then chunking it up into sixth on the straights, just as that car is just sort of bogging out a little bit, just to keep up the speed. Not sure if everybody's doing that, but a few people are just swapping gears. Someone just had a bit of a blink there. But I'm definitely hearing the sound of a car just dropping a little bit as it's starting to bog.
Yeah, I think they're definitely shifting down to fifth to power out of that corner.
So it's starting to settle down a little bit now with 31 laps into this stint, and it's going to be interesting to see who tops the tank right up and who just took a bit of a short fill even to get through pit lane a little bit quicker, try and get themselves out towards the front of the pack, because those guys that took it a little bit quicker will be just needing to come down pit lane a little bit sooner as well. So we'll see how that one unfolds. We've got 35 laps remaining here tonight for the Australasian Supercar eSeries here at the Iracing SuperSpeedway.
So we must be getting pretty close to what we think is the fuel window as well. Like if you could probably sort of make one final pit stop and make it to the end of the race now. And we think that's probably about 32 to 35, don't we?
Yeah, that's what we've sort of worked out and sort of we think is probably the fuel mileage. So I wonder if we'll see some people just coming in a little bit earlier and just try and sort of get themselves in a good position. Because we've not really seen any green flag stops yet, and we've not really talked about just the implications of that through this track, because it's about a 48, 50 second transition time through the pit lane, as we're just catching up to one of the lapped cars now, catching up to Shane Newens, and he was just going, yeah, I'll stay up high. And there's a big pack of angry cars coming, and he's sort of in an unenviable position at the moment because they're catching up. We're getting a wreck in the background. Cars are going around. Unfortunately, Mick Rush got caught up in that one in the 472 Pace Syndicate car. Big hit there. And that has brought the caution flag out for the second time tonight here on lap 33.
Let's see if we can go back and find that one.
So, two yellow cars, watch them up on the high line, and that little bit of contact.
Oh, we can have it.
As some cars are very badly damaged from that incident. There we go.
Yeah,
So,
sorry,
yeah,
just having a few
lots-
technical issues here. We'll get there.
That's all right. So these two make contact just on the exit of
Right
the
there.
corner.
Yep.
Bang, round it goes. And that was what, like 15th odd position. Goes spears down into Troy Davidson, I think. And then a lot of other cars get caught up in that one. And a lot of cars are going to be, needing to have a tow at least, or out of that one, because they got a heavy old hit. And that really, really set it up. One of the other cars went flying right up to the top as well, spearing up through there.
Yeah, I think Adam Malone got a big piece of that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think it's Adam Malone. I'll just double check that. I think that number 4 car there, you don't know where to go, you think you're clear, and then up comes a car flying up the track, and
Yeah,
you know where to go.
bang.
Nothing you can do about it.
The Pinnacle cars got very lucky in that. I was just watching down the low side, but we've got everybody, I think, coming into pit lane now. So pit stops are happening, and this I mean, this happened at pretty much the perfect time, because this is going to be able to get you home here now. This is going to be able to get you to the very end. So I wonder if people will be thinking about just taking some tyres just to give them a little bit more purchase off the corners, or just taking fuel alone. Probably if you're getting a full tank of fuel, it's worth just chucking the tyres on as well, just as a precaution. Not that they've really used up much.
It's always so hard to tell whether they are getting tyres or not, because it's the same thing. The car gets lifted up on the air jacks for fuel, and it gets lifted up for tyres as well. So
Yeah.
not like on NASCARs, where you can clearly see whether they get tyres by the front side going up or not.
That's the trouble with the air jacks. I was just looking at transition times, and Craig Rothie, he just chucked about 5 seconds worth of fuel in that car, and then it's just gone straight out. So I wonder if our mileage was a little bit. Oh, they had 14, so I think he's switched the car off now, so he's gone into full fuel saving mode.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he's like confident that he can actually get to the end on that little bit of gas, and he's trying something a little bit different. He's going to get track position out of this one, but interesting.
Yeah.
And nope, he's coming back into pit lane. So maybe there was a mistake on
a glitch. Yeah.
Yeah. So something's gone wrong, unfortunately. So yeah, that was an interesting little one. So obviously not enough fuel in there. Okay.
Possible there is a bit of a. Sometimes there is an iRacing glitch where you have everything ticked, where you want your fuel, your tyres, you come in and it just doesn't put the fuel in, or it doesn't do anything. So he might have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are worse times for that to happen. If it's under caution, it's not as painful as it could be. So that's always a sort of a nice thing to happen under caution, not under a green flag stop. So hopefully that's got them all back working.
Could have even been that he might have just arrived into pit lane and not actually had everything ticked that he wanted the work done. So yeah, didn't go out and get it all ticked again, did he? Do it? But yeah, it's not so bad on SuperSpeedway here. I mean, realistically, everyone down to 23rd, I think, which is Troy Davison, still has a chance of winning this race. It doesn't matter if they pit now or not.
No.
There's plenty of time for them to, with the nature of this racing, there's plenty of time for them to get up there.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to swap things around a little bit now, as they're going to start getting into position, as the pace cars forming them up 2 by 2 for this round number 2 of season 2 2023 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries, brought to you by private sellers, of course, United Electrical Solutions, Witcher Electrics, Hot Toddy Heating Installations, RKJ Web Services. A big thank you to all of those sponsors for helping us keep the series going, keeping the races going. Pace car has come in, and we're about to go back to green flag racing here. Derek Jacobs is going to be leading them away. First time tonight, we've seen the 04 up there, and on the loud pedal he goes, but he's got many sim boys near him. Aidan Schultz as well, getting a good run on the high line. That high line got away very quickly indeed. Great start for that high line.
Not sure what happened there. Maybe just maybe he was in too high a gear on the restart. I'm not sure, but it seems like the 3-4 cars around him got a much better start there.
It's easy to do when you're sort of, especially if you've been starting a bit further down the pack, where you don't really need to worry about that initial purchase off the start. You sort of you start in, say, 3rd gear or 4th gear rather than 2nd, and all of a sudden you realise, oh wait, no, I'm slow. You know, you don't have the cars in front of you punching a hole in the air. It changes it all up. Andrew Hoffman now getting up into the front of this pack, and the 51 is hold
what
it,
a
son!
catch!
Great save there from Kay Donnelly.
Wow.
That was scary.
Yeah, let's see if we can grab that. I just might have to jump back a bit more still.
Taking a bit of a breath there from that one, because yeah, that was a big moment there. That car going around would have been a big accident. So just got up there, just a little bit of contact from the rear by a teammate there, and beautiful save by Kay Donnelly. That was an incredible save.
Yeah, that's not ideal being fishtailing at the front of the pack there, but what an awesome job saving that. It could have been a really big nasty accident.
Absolutely, and well, he saved it, and he's still up there in the top
in the lead now.
top five. Yeah, he was up in the lead, so it's not gone too badly for him. From fishtailing to leading the race, that save has earned him a nice position out the front at the moment. They are coming up on Kim Rothy, who has just fallen off a little bit, and he's about to drop 2 laps down, unfortunately. As this pack will catch up relatively quickly to that car.
Yeah, Kim Rothy's already 1 lap down, so yeah, it's just going to heap a bit more misery on him. Put him 2 laps down.
Yeah, we've currently got Shane Ewan's the first of those lapped cars. So yeah, there's a few little things going on out there. As Todd Maxfield just took a big bite on the yellow line, somehow kept the car pointing in the right direction. That would have been a big incident if it had launched up there. And he's just kept it again, and he's having a great run out there, but there's been a few moments where he's touched that seam, he's touched the apron, touched the flat, where I've gone, oh, that's it, race over, and he's just kept it pointing in the right direction. As we can see, the racing now getting very thick. Ooh, another big save in the pack there for Nicholas Walsh, I think that was.
Yeah, the green car just had a massive run, and I guess he was just a bit late on the brakes and gave him a tap and got him loose. But the cars look very stable, so maybe they've seen how stable they are and they realise they can actually whack each other quite bad and get away with it.
Do the old bump and run tactics here. That might be the opportunity that they need to get up into the front of this race. But you don't really want to be having to save a car fishtailing at almost 300 kilometers per hour on a racetrack like this, because it is scary stuff indeed. We currently got 19 cars covered by 2.6 seconds. Joseph Brenshaw's fallen off the back of the pack. I think he's carrying a bit of damage, unfortunately. Troy Davison as well as Peter Gren. Those cars still on the lead lap for the moment, but they're just nursing themselves around as it stands. We do have Shane Newens as the first car lap down, with Peter Morris, Kim Rothy, Nick Rush 6 laps down, Philip Marsh 6 laps down, with Adam Malone as well as Jai Schultz, Luke Crum out early, as well as Dwayne Priest, Matt Patton and Aaron Dillon. But keeping the car circulating is a very wise move tonight, because if we get another big wreck, we've seen 2 big ones, but they sort of, a lot of cars got away relatively unscathed in those. So if we see a really big one up the front of the field and it takes out a lot of cars, if you're just circulating, you could find yourself getting a whole heap of positions here tonight, and those positions are crucial for this season 2 of the 2023 championship.
Certainly going to be a close one. There's a lot of big names that are already out. I mean, Dwayne Priest has retired his car, and he finished 3rd last season. So, yeah, Adam Malone's definitely a good, strong driver as well. So, yeah, a lot of big names are already out. So it's a good chance for people to make up points on these guys.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, if you can make up those points, that's all that matters. Getting those extra points in the bank, it just gives you a little bit more security. And you never know, you might have a really rubbish round, and this could make up for it a little bit. As just running up, Kate Donnelly's just run up very high there at the front, and that's just going to lose him for first position as Todd Maxwell goes back up into the lead. Who's been, we've got to say, that 16 has been looking switched on all night. Todd Maxwell seems to be very happy at this track. I've seen him drive right on the edge a couple of times, and he's still got super consistent speed. He took pole position, and he's just able to get that little bit of extra speed out of that car, and he's been leading for such a long time as well. So really strong run from Maxfield here tonight.
Yeah, I've been impressed. He's been grabbed the pole and he's led a lot of laps. Actually, we might be able to tell how many laps he's led. 28 laps led so far. So, yeah, he's been doing a mega job up the front there on that United Electrical and Hot Toddy's Simboys car.
Very much so. And Hoffman's just getting a big run up on the outside, just on the high side of Christopher Tomlin, another driver that's having a solid run. He's made up some 16 positions tonight. Andrew Hoffman, the biggest gainer at the moment, 25 positions. But Tomlin's been right up the front since the start of the race. He had a monster run to get himself up there in the beginnings of this race. He's kept himself right up there in the 212 inside lane productions car. So he's going to be pretty chuffed with that, I'm sure, and he'll want to keep up there. Philip Howe having a good run as well in the 96. He's having a solid run in the middle of this group of cars. So it's nice to see some people having a very decent little run here tonight. And there's still a few cars just sitting back a little bit, just not wanting to go too fast, too quickly. They're just waiting to see what happens, as we've still got 23 laps to go here. The Pinnacle boys are doing that with Nigel Patton, Justin Witcher, and those two are just sitting a little bit further back, just waiting to see what happens. Greg Spencer as well. Greg Spencer up there as well. So, you know, they're just going to see how this one runs out, I'm sure. And then, as we've seen in the past, once we get to the pointy end of this race, I will not be surprised to see those cars working their way up right to the front of this field.
Tell you another one to keep an eye on is the SRM cars, the bright yellow cars of Matty Raymond and Ruben Phelps. Matty Raymond's up on the back of that front back, and Ruben's just tucked in right at the back here. Now, those two are very notorious, or very well known for just riding around for the, you know, 3/4 of the race, and then working their way up to the front when it's business time.
They're very good at sort of keeping their cars in a position to make moves in the latter stages of the race. They know that, you know, you're not really going to get many points in the early stages. It's all about crossing that finish line in a strong position. So they're waiting to make their pounce as well. But yeah, a few cars just as I say, sitting outside of this real front pack, waiting to make their moments once they happen. But up the front, it is still Todd Maxfield in Electrical Solutions Hot Toddy's Sim Boys entry. And like we say it time and time again on super speedways, watch out for Sim Boys, because they are very, very good on them. You know, it's a very different style of racing. You've got to be very brave, and you've got to really, really be comfortable racing super close with each other. And that group of that team can do a fantastic job with those ones. So, you know, again, they're doing a really nice run up the front at the moment. We chug across the line with 20 laps remaining here tonight. The race is ticking by nice and quick. So we are very much getting to the tail end of this race, and we sort of, barring a caution, I don't think we're going to be seeing anybody decide to drop into pit lane. Even with a caution, I don't think anybody's really going to be drawing too much about that. So it's all about on-track action now. If you want to get some good positions, you've got to do it on the track. And look, some people are starting to back count a little bit, and they're thinking about where they want to be for the final few laps of this race.
Yeah, it's sort of calmed down a little bit. put the commentator's curse on it. It's sort of, yeah. The energy's gone out of a little bit. They're all sort of being calm and responsible at the front there and just logging laps. Still 20 laps to go. It feels like it's been going for a long time. So a lot of laps, but yeah, still 20 laps to go.
Well, there are long old laps in this place. That is the thing, you know. It is a racetrack that it's deceptively long and sort of almost a minute a lap. So, you know, they do take a little bit of time. I think we're about 55 minutes into this race, so it is coming along. And
We're getting
just seeing.
a few
Yeah, I
comments
just
as well,
noticed
yeah.
that, Matt.
Yeah.
I just glanced up. That's interesting to see. So apparently we might be about 2 to 3 laps short on fuel. So our sort of maths earlier on, we're not quite right. So it's closer to what, about 30 laps that they can do in a tank. So this is going to be interesting now. If we go green to the end, people are going to need to make some green flag pit stops.
Be interested to know if the cars at the back are fuel saving or not. We might do a bit of an onboard and just see if we can have a listen.
Well, remember we saw a couple of those cars coming in late to get a little bit of extra fuel in the tank. They came in for that little splash, just to try and get a little bit more in there. And, well, Craig Rothie, we saw he had an issue, so he had to come down a little bit later. So Craig Rothie, Christopher Tomlin, and just looking through the groups there. Peter Gretton as well, but he's fallen off the pack a little bit. So they may just have that extra little tiny drip of fuel in their tank that could get them a little bit further, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get them to the end, because as we say, it's a long old place where you're pretty much flat out the whole way. So if somebody's been fuel saving, they could pull an absolute magic win out of this one. This race has just got very spicy now.
It has, and I think we're just riding on board Witcher down the back here, and I think he's not changing gears that I can hear, and sounds to me like he's going very easy into the corners as well.
Yeah. I wonder who is going to be able to do a save here and just really go for it, because those guys sitting down towards the back of the tail are going to be getting a nice big punch through the air, and they can just keep their foot off the throttle a little bit, and that could be the opportunity that they need to save that magic amount of fuel. So yeah, this will be an interesting little finish. So who is going to absolutely go for it, and then when are they going to come down pit lane? That's the question. They're going to leave it to the last minute, last possible lap, just in case the caution flag comes out, or are they going to try and get themselves in, get them settled up with their teammates, get out and actually start running some decent lap times? Because when you hit on a super speedway, it's all about getting out and getting into a group of cars that you can work with. If you're out there on your own, you're going to just completely hemorrhage time. So pit lane, pitting, pit entry, pit stopping, getting into your box correct, all of those little things are so crucial on a track like this if you're doing a green flag stop. And we've not really mentioned the pit entry as well. There's a bit of a graduation. The track tilts and there's a bit of a bump as you come onto the lane here that can easily unsettle the car and cause you to have a big moment. So this is going to be an interesting run to the flag. We've got 15 laps remaining. It's not far until we find our answers. Who's going to be the first to blink? Who's going to be the first team to blink and go, look, we need that little bit of extra fuel? Who is going to be saving it like a boss? Well, we're going to find out in about 15 laps' time.
Yeah, I think they would all go as long as they can. So if they're 2 laps short, they'll pit with 2 laps to go, I think. Hoping that a caution comes out before that. But, yeah, perhaps that explains why it sort of looked like the energy was taken out of the front, because they're all actually just trying to save a little bit.
Yeah, they've all gone into preservation mode. Oh, there's contact, and there is going to be a wreck, is there? Yes, there is, down the front straight. Those drivers sitting down towards the back of the pack are going to get caught in this big, big accident.
What a... I saw the SRM cars and that, so I put the mockers on them. Let's try and get back to...
So...
yeah, just trying to work out what happened here.
Ruben Phelps got caught latter in that incident. It was between Derek Jacobs and Hoffman. I think that's where the incident started. So, just contact between those two cars sent them skidding around, and a bit of a checkup as people were trying to slow down. And then there was a little bit of a secondary incident behind between Philip Howe and Ruben Phelps. But that is exactly what people were sort of hoping for. I imagine if you're running up at the front of the field and you're a bit low on fuel, this is exactly what you want to have happen, because that means that you can save a bit of fuel under pace car conditions or pop in just to get a little bit of extra gas in the tank. But Ruben Phelps, Philip Howe, Hoffman and Derek Jacobs really caught in that instant bad, as well as one of the
Spencer in the
Pinnacle
29.
cars, yeah.
I didn't see how... see if we could see what happened to the cars behind them.
I think everybody just managed to slow down, so that sort of group right at the back of the field just had enough time just to start to slow down. And you can see the accordion effect. There's a little bit of contact there between Witcher and Andy Barber.
5, yeah. They saw it, yeah.
And yeah, they've just got on the brake, starting to slow down, and just missed all the carnage there. But not everybody was that lucky. So, question is, anybody going to stick it out? See if they can make it to the end on fuel now with this caution, because that will help you save a little bit of fuel, or are you going to come down pit lane just in case there is that green-white checker? And I think everybody is coming in.
Is everybody coming in? Yep. Everybody on the lead lap is coming in, I believe.
Yep. Everybody on the lead lap is coming in. So everybody is going to get that cheap stop under pace car conditions. Who can get the timing perfect here? They only need a quick splash of fuel to get to the end, I imagine. So it's not going to be a full tank. Who has clicked the right buttons? That's the question, because it's very easy to accidentally get too much fuel. If you've got the full tank selected, you can be sitting there for an awful long time. If you have tyres selected as well, that can be a big punishment as well. But looks like everybody's getting through relatively quickly. As a few drivers are also getting some damage repaired as well. So everybody in and out at relatively quick speeds. Craig Rothie, he jumped up a whole heap of positions. Hopefully that's because everything worked and he got through in a nice quick time. And hopefully we don't see a result of last time round where the pit lane didn't quite work for him. But he was only stationary for about 8 seconds. Andy Barber as well, about 8.5 seconds. He's jumped up a whole heap of positions. Gary Wellman is now in the lead with Nicholas Walsh, Aidan Schultz, and Craig Rothie with Todd Maxfield dropping down into 5th position. I think that's the lowest I've seen Todd Maxfield almost all night, down in 5th position. He's been running up the front pretty consistently. Cade Donnelly down into 6th, I should say. Manny Ray up into 7th. Darren McKenzie, a driver that we haven't spoken about at all tonight. He is having a quiet night up there, but he's managed to work his way inside the top 10 up in P8. Andy Barber in P9. Christopher Tomlin in 10th position at the moment. So working their way up nicely.
Yeah, it's been a very quiet night for Mackenzie, hasn't it? He's just been running around, and I can't even tell you where he's been running, whether he's been running middle of the pack or back of the pack, but he's up near the front when it matters.
Yes, And it's a useful trait to have. He's just been having a very silent night. It's the first time I've seen his name appear on my timing screen as well. It's almost like he's been hidden away out there. But yeah, having a good run up there. So just listening to Gary Wellman, actually, it sounded like he just switched the engine off and on again, just sitting behind the pace car. So obviously, you're still wanting to save a little bit of fuel out there. They're still not 100% comfortable, but there shouldn't be an issue to make it to the end. It's just if we see the dreaded green-white checker come out, it might catch a couple of people out who are short field. So we'll see if that one, if that appears, if that catches anybody out. And as we're coming up to the line, we do just have enough time just to, as I'm trying to look through my thingies here. So I said I had enough time, and I've misplaced my notes, unfortunately. Always fun. But we are going to be going back to green now. Pace car has pulled in, and it's going to be Gary Wellman leading us away here. 11 laps to go for tonight's race. And they are moving forwards at a vast rate of knots. It's Gary Wellman up there with Aidan Schultz right behind him at the moment. And then Nicholas Walsh, Todd Maxfield, Craig Roffey, Kate Donnelly, Maddie Ray, Christopher Tomlin, Darren McKenzie, Andy Barber. That's our top 10 at the moment. That's surely going to change very, very shortly. As all through the middle, we go three wide here. It's Maxfield getting up right back to the front of the field again. Todd Maxfield, who's almost led over half of this race. He's once again pushing his way up towards the front of this field. He wants to be right up the front of this train of cars all night long.
He does, yeah, and I was keeping an eye on him from the restart because I knew he'd be pretty aggressive trying to get up there, but he did a really, really good job.
Really good run. Right now, we've got Aidan Schultz giving Craig Roffey a big push. Now, Craig Roffey moving it to the front of the field. Aidan Schultz trying to get up there as well in the Golden Octopus car. Of course, the race for the gold is coming up for the Golden Octopus Foundation on the 1st of July, Saturday the 1st of July. If you're interested in running in that one, please head over to the race for the Golden Octopus Foundation. For that one, I will pop a link in the YouTube channel as well. But that will be racing at Suzuka in TCR cars. If you're interested in joining that one, please head over for more information as Todd Maxfield gets on the yellow line. Just gets very squirrely very quickly, but again keeps pace in that car. And now we've got Christopher Tomlin back up the front again. Tomlin having a really monster run, and Aidan Schultz getting a chief job of pusher tonight. He is doing a great job of pushing those cars to the front of the pack. And they've got three cars up there with Craig Roffey, Aidan Schultz and Christopher Tomlin. Three cars that are not sim boys for the first time this evening. But the sim boys are coming back at them quick.
Yeah, here come the sim boys. They've got a massive run.
Run here, Maddie Ray as well in the SRM machine. Mobile Braking Mechanical SRM team having a big run up there, and well, there's 8 laps to go, and this is where people want to start shuffling to the front of the field. This is where the aggression level gets turned up, and we are seeing that right now, where people are trying to get into their positions where they want to finish this race. That high line's just died off for a moment. But watch out, it will come back to life in the very near future. It is all close stuff between Maxfield and Tomlin up the front, the 16 and the 212. Racing very hard. Great work at the moment. Great racing going on as Maxfield just loses a little bit of pace in the corner. Christopher Tomlin getting pushed along nicely there. Aidan Schultz doing a good job of the pushing. He is he's pretty earning himself a couple of favours there by doing that. And it's nice when you have somebody that's willing to give you a little bit of extra horsepower from their car.
Matty Ray on the outside. The yellow car, big run there.
Getting a big
144 behind him.
helping hand from Parry Anastakis, another driver that we've not talked about too much tonight in the Rogue entry. First time Parry's been up in the top 10 all night long. And, caution flag is out. Caution flag is out. And it's for Shane Newens, I believe. Oh, it is for Shane Newens and Mick Rush. So a little bit of a pack further down the field trying to work their way up to the group. And it looks like there was just a little bit of contact from behind. From Luke Crum. Just unsettled the 472 a little bit. Mick Rush, unfortunately. Sort of had a big moment there. All those cars got together in an accordion fashion. And just speared that car up, unfortunately. And heavy hit for those two cars, but that's gonna settle everybody down to a race to the end with about 3 or so laps remaining, Matt.
Yeah, and everyone should be good for fuel now, we think. If you're not, then you'll be clutching it like crazy. What do we think?
Switching the engine off and on.
Switching. So Gary's got the engine on there, so we thought he might be a little bit low, but they should be all good to make it from here now.
Yeah, this extra caution will help the fuel mileage a little bit and just get you there. And it's never bad having a little bit of extra gas in the tank for just those moments, as people are doing the old, yeah, we're coming into pit lane, honestly, follow us, please do. The quick swerve down there. A couple of people are going to come down pit lane though.
I think they need repairs.
Yeah, Troy Davison, I think, is one of those.
Yeah, so a couple of cars that need repairs. Coming in, grabbing some repairs. Of course, they're not out of it. If they keep circulating and there's a big wreck at the front and they're still going down the back, they could easily pick up a lot more positions.
No, absolutely. They can get themselves some good spots in this race, and look, they're still on the lead lap as well, importantly. So, race is not over. Shane Newens has come in as well, just to get some repairs done after that incident. But he's crucially on the lead lap as well. So, he's got an opportunity here if he can get back out there. Just depending on how much damage, but I think he has got the weak ball flag, so how much of that can be repaired quickly is going to be the question, because the leaders are coming up to they're on the back straight, sorry. Tricky thing about this track, when you see the cars exiting the corner, if you're looking in the wrong direction, you don't realise where you are. So they've got a little bit of time before the leaders come up, but they've got to be really cautious of that one. Of course. And, we're going to have a bit of a sprint to the end here for round number 2 of the Australasian Supercar eSeries here on Performance eStream. And, of course, brought to you by my private seller. If you're in the need for some wine storage solutions, please get in contact with my private sellers for some fantastic offers for wine storage solutions, as well as things to restock them as well. They can keep them stocked as well as making those storage solutions. And, always nice to have a little bit of wine with some dinner, so get in contact with them if you want to go through those details. Also, nice easy segue to Witcher Electrics there. Of course, one of the other sponsors of the series. Of course, if you are in the need for some electrical repairs in the Ballarat region, then get in contact with Witcher Electrics. Of course, RKJ Web Services, if you're in the need for some web service solutions, web pages being built, all of those little bits and bobs, get in contact with Raymond Yeager for those crucial details. And, with it getting a bit colder, Matt, I'm sure it's getting cold over with you as well. You're probably expecting to see the dreaded snow appearing in the near future. Hot toddies, heating installations, that can be very useful at this time of year. And always good to get the electrics checked in the houses as well when you're getting those heaters up. And United Electrical Solutions will do that job.
Well, I don't think we've seen our last caution of this race.
I would not bet against that one, Matt.
And I think we might see some four wide action here. Solid, multiple car deep, four lanes, maybe even five.
Yeah, it's going to be some pretty racing here. You're going to have Christopher Tomlin up the front for the inside lane production cars. He's going to be right up there and hoping to get a good start here. The Golden Octopus with Aidan Schultz on the outside. We're about to go back to green flag racing. It's going to be a 4-lap sprint to the end here at Iracing Superspeedway. Who is going to get the checkered? Who is going to get the W next to their name? We're going to find out in 4 short laps, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle yourselves in. Get on the edge of your seat because we're going to see some racing. The green flag comes out and the cars roar away once more. Christopher Tomlin getting a good launch, but it's Todd Maxfield working his way back up to the front. Todd Maxfield, you've got to say, is the favourite tonight. He's been having a great run. Great speeders. Oh, little bit of contact between himself and Aidan Schultz there. Glancing blow between the cars. Did not look like they made much damage. Just cost him a little bit of speed. But they are moving back up there now. This is going to be the race. Aidan Schultz giving Maxfield a nice little push there just after that little bit of contact. Just saying, look, no harm, no foul. I'll get back into racing. And they're starting to go 4 wide. It's Craig Roffey up on the high side, moving forwards. Aidan Schultz in the middle. Craig Roffey up high. And we are racing once more. Christopher Tomlin looking to get up there. Parry Anastakis moving forwards as well. He's currently sitting up in that group. That could be very useful for Craig Roffey. The 2 Rogue Sim Sports cars linking up very well. Manny Ray moving with Aidan Schultz, but up the front is Todd Maxwell getting a push from Christopher Tomlin. Gary Wellman trying to get up the front as well as Kay Donnelly. The 4 Sim Boys cars trying to link up as there's Nicholas Walsh down there as well. Those drivers have got to be cautious. Those Sim Boys getting linked together as Tomlin gets a little bit loose in the corner here. 2.5 laps remaining for tonight's race.
There's a forward of 2 of going 4 wide there, but they decided just to keep it 3 wide for now.
Yeah, keep it 3 wide until we see the white flag, boys. You know, then all hell will be let loose, I fear. There's a little tap of the brakes there. And, you know, you can just do that just to get the car just eased off a little bit. Parry Anastakis there, just giving the brakes a little bit of a tap. Possibly trying to throw off the people behind as well, of course. It is odd for us still on ovals to see brake lights. It just does not feel right. 2 laps remaining here as we are getting very, very close to the end of this race. Coming up quick and moving along fast. It's still a lot of people that could get this one. Gary Wellman now moving forwards with the help of Aidan Schultz. Todd Maxfield trying to slingshot his way back through the field, trying to get himself up there. Christopher Tomlin getting a good run as well. We've seen how good some of Tomlin's runs have been. He's going to try and weave it through the middle, 4 wide here.
Oh, that's hurt Maxfield.
Maxfield's just completely lost it. That is acted like a parachute to him. He's got the side draft and it's just dropped him right back in the pack. But Craig Roffey's moved up to the front of the field now. Great run there from Craig Roffey.
Oh, these Rogue Sim Sport cars are doing really, really well at the pointy end of this race.
They are making it count when it matters. The white flag is about to fly here. It's Gary Wellman, Craig Roffey, side by side. Todd Maxfield's getting a good run.
Oh,
There's contact! There's a huge wreck behind! Oh, this is disastrous for a heap of cars, but Craig Roffey, Gary Wellman still racing. Don't think we'll see the caution. So it's going to be between Nicholas Walsh, Craig Roffey and Gary Wellman. It's gone from a race of, 20-odd cars down to 3. A race of 3. Who is going to be able to get it here?
Can Walsh time it? Can Walsh get a draft and time it? Just take this one.
Walsh is getting a really big run. He's trying to help Gary Wellman here. He's pushing Wellman. I think Walsh has got some damage on the side of his car as well. He's getting a big run there. Craig Roffey needs to get a draft here to get him across the line up there. Who is going to make it? We'll jump back and watch the replay of that incident soon. A little bit of side-by-side hip and shoulder there between Roffey and Craig and Walsh. And it's going to be Gary Wellman who's going to cross the line. Gary Wellman crosses the line for victory here tonight ahead of Nicholas Walsh and Craig Rothie. Justin Witcher will come home in third position. Troy Davidson comes home in fifth. Peter Gretton, from absolutely nowhere with damage just limping around, comes home in P6. Andrew Hoffman, P7. Nigel Patton in eighth. Ninth for Manny Ray. And Andy Barber in 10th at the moment. We'll wait for the all the cars to cross the line before we get the proper results up, because there's going to be a few changes, I'm sure. If there's any penalties or things like that, any black flags, we'll wait for everybody to cross the line before we absolutely run through that. That was a bit of a crazy finish, Matt.
It was. That wreck looked huge, and it went for ages, so we'll have to go back and have a look at that one.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly what happened in all of that chaos, because I was too busy watching the leaders to really figure out what was going on there. But Gary Wellman, well, 2 for 2 for Gary Wellman, takes victory here tonight. Second time in the past 2 weeks. Gary Wellman starting this season off in fantastic fashion.
Certainly proven to be the one to beat, that's for sure.
Get some well-deserved victory donuts. As we will go back and have a look at that last lap incident. But before we do, we'll run through the finishing order. So is Gary Wellman taking victory here tonight, burning it down, enjoying his time as he bags it up along the start-finish line. Nicholas Walsh comes home in second. Craig Rothie in third, with Justin Witcher in fourth. Troy Davison comes home fifth. Peter Gratton up 24 positions, biggest mover of the night in sixth spot. Nigel Patton in seventh. Matty Ray comes home eighth. Andy Barber ninth. 10th for Kobe Jordan. As we roll over the pages, Parry Anastakis, who comes home in 11th, with Darren McKenzie in 12th. 13th for Peter Morris. Aidan Schultz comes home 14th position. 15th for Todd Maxfield. Unfortunately, he got caught in that one after a very strong run tonight. Greg Spencer, 16th position. Ruben Phelps, 17th. 18th for Shane Ewens. 19th for Christopher Tomlin. And Andrew Hoffman comes home in 20th. Kay Donnelly will bring it home in 21st, with Philip Howe 22nd, Joseph Grenshaw 23rd, Kim Roffey 24th, 25th for Derek Jacobs, Mick Rush 26th, Adam Malone 27th, Jai Schultz 28th, Philip Marsh 29th, Luke Crum 30th, Dwayne Priest, Matt Patton and Aaron Dillon out early doors in 31st, 32nd and 33rd.
Right, I'm going to have a look and see if this is our incident. Try and work out what happened. Nope.
Well, I can tell you it was between Parry Anastakis and Christopher Tomlin. So once we get to the line, we'll watch the grey car and the blue car up the front of your screen. This is going to be where to watch for that big incident on the final lap of the race. The white flag had come out, of course, so no caution flag. So Parry Anastakis just goes down, Tomlin just turns him, and then chaos behind, because these two cars start wrecking. Up into Todd Maxfield goes Anastakis, gets pushed up there, and this is the worst part of the track to have a wreck like this, because it's probably the narrowest bit of the track, and as you can see, everybody gets caught up in this one.
Wow, there's literally only those 3 cars that made it through.
I think the car to watch on board is going to be Justin Witcher in this one, our fourth place finisher, because he had a very, very eventful last lap getting it through this wreck.
Smoke everywhere. It's crazy.
Peter Gretton did a great job. He was languishing at the back of the pack. He must have been a bit down on power after earlier incidents, but he was in a perfect position to loop it through. See Todd Maxfield there, airborne, flying through the air. And yeah, this was a chaotic finish.
Wow. So
I think
Justin Witcher, you said?
yeah, jump on board with Justin Witcher for this finish. we'll watch his onboard, and then we'll go to our podium setters. So here we are on board with Justin Witcher is down way down the field here, and then all of a sudden chaos starts happening in front of him. He starts to get on the brakes, has somebody just clip the rear of him, but he just squeezes past Kobe Jordan there. And you can see just how active he is on the steering wheel, just trying to think where to go, where to go, where to go. There isn't really a safe place to go because you can see his teammates there just absolutely being tangled up. There is chaos still happening in front of him. No safe place to stick that car. He just decides, this is it. This is where I'm going to gas it. And gets on the gas, just sees the carnage going up to his right, pulls it down to the left. Car on its side there, rolling onto its roof. The 20 of Darren McKenzie.
Darren
McKenzie there, rolling over, doing a full flip, getting back onto its wheels, I think. And that was absolute chaos
great.
from Justin's Witcher perspective. Whew, okay. Well, with that chaos looked at, we're going to jump to our third place man, Mr. Craig Rothie, and we will bring him up to the booth for Rogue Sim Sports. It is Craig Rothie. Craig, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P3. There was a bit of a chaotic ending there, but I imagine you didn't see much from the front of the car, but probably in your mirror, you saw a whole heap of chaos.
G'day, fellas. Yeah, it's good to be back in the broadcast on the podium. I think it was Parry just drifted across, or Chris come up, but either way, there was pushing and cars moving all over the place, and then look behind me, and there's just cars everywhere. And then I thought it was out of me and Gaz at the end, and I didn't see Walshy coming up. He snuck up on me.
Oh, it went from a race of about 20 cars to just 2 cars and then 3 cars all of a sudden.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Nah, it's good. Good finish.
Bit of chaos. Now, I'm glad I actually got you in the booth because you're the one man I actually wanted to speak to after a weird little moment in pit lane after one of the earlier cautions. We saw you come down pit lane, stop in the box, and then have to go straight back out again. What happened?
Oh, I forgot to put my triller button on. So that's why I jumped in in the pits, and he's like, go. I was like, what? It's not filled up. And then I don't know. But after doing that, it made me lead a lap. So which got my bonus point. So
well, it works out in the end.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was under caution as well. If that happened under green, so
rookie error.
Oh, look, not the worst thing that could happen. I mean, it's ended up with you on the podium, so it could have been much worse tonight.
Yeah, definitely could have.
Obviously, run there to the end, some hard racing there. We sort of trying to think, how can I get this win with those 2 Simboys cars side by side? Were you sort of going, I don't think I can do much more than third, or were you sort of thinking, if I could still get a run here?
No, I didn't see Walshy. I thought all the cars got caught up in that incident. So I didn't actually see him behind us. So I thought it was out of me and Gaz. And then I think it was half a track left. And then I realised he was coming up. And then I realised, they're teammates, so he's going to go on his side. So then I just tried to side draft and But either way, got a third, so happy.
No, absolutely. Look, I mean, second race, third place on the podium. Things can be much worse. Look, congratulations tonight, Craig. Before I let you go, though, the usual thing, the shout, the love, the sponsors. Go for it, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Rogue Sim Sports, good bunch of dudes. Big shout out to one of our teammates, Rick, does all the paints for us, and just stuff behind the scenes and whatnot. We don't have any sponsors, so no one really to say thanks there. But next up, you boys for the broadcast. Always good to rewatch them during the week and whatever, and all the sponsors that come with the league. It's good to be a part of.
Absolutely. Look, thank you so much, Craig. And look, if there are any sponsors out there listening, please look at Rogue Sim Sports because they are a very good team and they tend to find themselves up in the top 3 quite often. So well worth chucking the name on that car. Congratulations tonight, Craig Rothie, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon, mate.
Thanks, mate. Hope to talk to you soon.
Craig Rothie there for Rogue Sim Sports. Next up, it is our second place finisher for those Sim boys. It's Nicholas Walsh. Nicholas Walsh, welcome to the booth, mate. A bit of an eventful race for you. You had a fair few moments in that one where it looked a little bit sketchy, and then all of a sudden you make it through all the chaos and find yourself up in P2.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, it was a bit of an eventful one for me, I must admit.
Well, we saw a big moment with you earlier in the race where you sort of ended up giving the wall a big hug and wiping off all of that lovely sponsorship and paint off the right side of the car. Talk us through that moment.
Oh yeah, look, guys, tonight was a bit of a roller coaster. To be honest, I may have been sitting down all afternoon watching the V8s down at Simmons Plains with Hot Toddy, partaking in a few beverages, and I suppose the concentration may have lapsed a little bit, but managed to pull it back through and keep going.
Is that why Todd was so quick tonight?
Look, we didn't want to say that, but he may have had a bit of the magic juice in him to give him a bit of speed.
Oh, it's been a good night for you boys. I mean, we saw you were running right up there at the front of the field all night long. We say you go well on super speedways, and you proved us right once again.
Yeah, look, the Sim boys, for all that we have a bad against each other, we do tend to take the super speedways pretty good, and managed not to really take any of ourselves out tonight, which happens every now and then, and we just worked as a team and went through her.
No, absolutely. It was a great run there. I mean, obviously, the carnage at the end, you were sitting a fair few cars back in that one. The seas parted for you, but you just snuck through there by the narrowest of margins.
May have pulled a Bradbury. I don't think it was too much skill involved in coming through tonight, but look, hey, I'm here on the podium and I'm going to claim it.
Oh, absolutely. Look, a well-deserved podium and a good run from you boys tonight. Now, question is, were you one of the nominated drivers tonight?
Funnily enough, no, not tonight. No, it was Gary and Cade and Troy tonight. But it doesn't matter. I think we had a good run roundabout, so it's okay.
It seems to be the trending path for you boys. Whoever's not nominated has the really good run.
Yeah, too right. It's we can't seem to get it right. Gary's got a bit of a spreadsheet going. He's a spreadsheet master, and we do a bit of a running tally each week, and it just seems to be that whatever statistics say should get the good run next week, it's never happens.
Look, congratulations tonight. A well-deserved P2. Go for the personal shout-outs. We'll make Gary do the hard work with all the other sponsors.
Yeah, no, look, guys, it's big shout out to the team sponsors and to the league sponsors, and massive shout out to Gary's darling Alana tonight. She watched the race and she was there looking after us.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much, Nicholas Walsh. Well done on P2, and hopefully we'll speak to you again in the very near future, mate.
I can only hope, guys. Thanks very much.
Nicholas Walsh there, P2 tonight. And finally, a man that's making a rather big habit of getting up here in the booth, it is Mr. Gary Wellman. Gary, welcome back to the booth, mate. I said it wouldn't be long until I spoke to you again, and it hasn't been long indeed. Just a week apart, and up there in victory lane once again.
Yeah, cheers, Carl. Having a bit of a good run here, so yeah, you got to make the most of that. It hasn't always been that way, so yeah, I'm happy with that one.
Well, you've been having a solid run in the start of the season. That's always a nice thing. But tonight's race as well, you've always been up towards the front of the field. Obviously, there was a bit of a moment there at the end, which you sort of didn't see any of, I imagine.
No, I said to Craig in the green room there, it was probably a good thing I didn't, because it looked pretty hairy from in the mirror, and I was glad that's the only way I saw that one, because it didn't look like much fun.
No, it did. It wiped out a fair few of the competition. It went from about 20 cars down to 3 in the end. But luckily, one of those 3 was a teammate. That must have given you a little bit of confidence there for the final run. Coming up to the line, what was your plan if you're sort of trying to make sure you get ahead of Craig?
Oh yeah, I knew I had Walshy there, which was reassuring. But also, I was keen for Walshy just to run the race and go for a win too. But he kind of saved me, I think, on the back straight there. Offie was just about ready to pull down, and I got a bump from Walshy, so I got to thank Walshy for giving me that bit of a nudge and keep me nose, alongside Roffy there. And then I sort of was happy to see who won the drag race at the end, and got there.
No, look, great stuff indeed. And it's been a really good night for the team as well. We were just talking to Walshy before, and a solid run for all the team cars. But once again, second week running on the podium. It's one of the cars, but one of the ones that aren't in the team championships.
Yeah, that's how it works out. Yeah. I think while she mentioned I run a bit of a spreadsheet, but I might have to tune the spreadsheet skills up because it's not the magic formula just yet.
You might have to go with the old dice roll option, just because it's been a bit random recently.
Yeah, super speedways is always a roll of the dice, isn't it? So yeah, sometimes like a few of the boys here in the team, and obviously, there's a lot of guys up front, and it turns to crap in the last lap, and it's just right place, right time which is where I was tonight.
Absolutely. Well, being up at the front of the field was exactly the right place at the right time. Often leading on the last lap on a super speedway is a bit of a death sentence, but tonight it paid off for you.
Yep, sure did. Yeah, it's kind of just tucked in third place, just making sure I was saving fuel and that, and didn't really come down to a green flag pit stop at all. So, I kind of had to get the elbows out a bit at the end, and everyone does. So, luckily, it all came off.
Absolutely. Congratulations tonight, Gary. Before I let you go, though, you've got the hard job to do. Shout out to the sponsors, to the people in general. Let it rip, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Sim Boys as always. Had a few of the boys in tonight, which was fun. Hot Toddies, heating installs, United Electrical, the boys that always have been with us from the start. Obviously ASE, we love the series. It's awesome. You guys for the broadcast, and my partner Ilana, which I know she's hanging for a shout out because she's tuned into the broadcast. So yeah, thanks for watching.
And she tuned in for the right broadcast. I mean, you've had a great run so far in season 2, but it makes it all the more special when they're watching for a victory.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sure she'll be joy for me.
Well done, Mr. Gary. Well done to Ilana as well. Enjoy your night, have some celebrations, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon, mate.
Yep, cheers, boys. See you next week.
Gary Wellman there for the Sim Boys, taking victory second time in a row. Great run for him at the moment. Great way to start season 2 for the Sim Boys. And a very, very tense race there at the end, Matt. A bit crazy as they crossed the line for that white flag.
Yeah, that was, especially, it was all on, and then all of a sudden there was only 3. So that was pretty crazy and interesting to see.
Absolutely, some crazy stuff. Well, for this week of some light duties for us, missing out, of course, we don't have the cup this week for broadcast. We're wrapping up with the Australasian Supercar eSeries, of course. So always nice to do that on a Sunday night, but keep close to the YouTube channel, to the Facebook page. Make sure to subscribe to catch all the action, because we've got more action coming up next week, haven't we, Matt, with the Xfinity and the Cup cars, as well as the Australasian Supercars back next Sunday.
Yeah, this week the Xfinity cars actually go to Twin Ring Motegi, which is another track that I've never been to and seen. So that will be interesting to see. And
yes,
then the Cup cars come back from a week off.
And we're finally back here next week at...
I'll just bring that up now.
Yeah.
We're at Las Vegas next week for the Supercars. Yeah. Yep.
Wonderful. So some great action to come here on Performance E-Streaming. Looking forward to Twin Ring Motegi, of course, place that's not been raced for after an earthquake shut down the oval back in 2015 from memory. But an awesome track, so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. Of course, we look forward to you all joining us as well. Thank you so much for watching tonight, and we appreciate all the viewers and all the chat in the community as well. But from myself, Mr. Carl Wilkinson, with you, Mr. Matt Hunter, we will wish you a very good night indeed, and we'll see you all very soon.